Hey there, I'm Leslie Marshall. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday, only true democracy in talk. Today, we have Victor Mineros. Victor is proud Secretary-Treasurer of Teamsters Local 396, Western Region International Vice President, and Director of the Teamsters Solid Waste and Recycling Division. Now, they represent tens of thousands of sanitation workers across the country. If you want more information, not just about this and Victor Local 396 and everything Teamsters does, please go to teamster.org for more information. Follow them on X and Instagram. Their handle there is @Teamsters. Like them on Facebook at facebook.com/Teamsters. More than a pleasure to have with us Mr. Mineros. Mr. Mineros, Secretary-Treasurer Mineros, thank you for joining us and welcome.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for having me, and thank you to your listeners for hearing us out today.
Yeah, absolutely. My home was one of those that was not destroyed in the Eaton Canyon fire, but damaged. And I got to say, the sanitation industry, people don't realize the havoc that it wreaks on our sanitation system, our septic systems, whatever. So I have a newfound respect for all of these men and women who work under the umbrella of all the areas that you cover. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the state of the sanitation industry here in the United States. I don't think people always understand how essential this industry is to our public health, to our environment, and to the basic function in our community. Yet, when you look at the industry as a whole, workers who are keeping public health, environmental protection, basic community function standards high, they're being shafted because they're overworked, they're underpaid, and they're disrespected. Is that true? And can you speak to me about each of those areas, the overwork, the underpay, and the disrespect?
Definitely. Well, I'll start off with you touching about the underrated. Most households don't, and I'll be frank with you. My own household is you have a household, you take out the trash at the end of the driveway, you throw your trash away, and you take out that bin once a week, and your problem is gone. So that's the story of a household. My wife, she doesn't know or didn't understand of what these workers go through. This job here is between the fourth and fifth most dangerous job in the United States. There's
Wow.
more injury and death in this industry than cops and firefighters almost put together. So, and these workers, and it's frowned upon of their job has been, and it's not a frowned upon by the community. It's frowned upon by corporate greed, is what it's frowned upon. These workers are being taken advantage. They keep our community safe. But as we just think about some of the grossest stuff that you've thrown away in your own kitchen, just cleaning your own household, multiply that by a block, multiply that by a city. This is what these workers here today do for our community. They keep us clean. They keep our health environment clean. They take everything that you don't want and put it to where it belongs.
I have to tell you, like I said, after the fire, we had so much stuff that had to be discarded. We lost, everything in our backyard, like tables, chairs, umbrellas, or whatever. I couldn't carry all this stuff myself, and insurance isn't going to pay you to hire somebody to help you. I know I have a husband, kids, whatever, but school, work, it was on me, and we weren't living here. Those men and women, and on my route it was men.
Right.
They just helped me. Also, like, extra things that had to be thrown out, things like that didn't fit in the bin. Normally, you got to make a phone call, have a special trip. No. I mean, after the fire, they fully understood. You could just put stuff right out. And like you said, a few hours later, definitely by the end of the day, it's gone. And
It's
I've
gone.
got to, and I've got to tell you, and they were being exposed because the soot and ash, at least in the Eaton Canyon fire, it contained asbestos, lead, mercury, pesticides, and arsenic. No joke. So when you talk about, it's hazardous, I also had read recently, just a few weeks ago, somebody got caught. I think their sleeve got caught, and I think they lost their arm in, the mechanism in the truck that puts things through. And we all know that not everyone does what they should. Not everyone puts everything in the bags. Not everybody puts the recyclable material or the proper things in, at least here, and in California, in the blue
Right.
bins, or the gardening stuff in the green bins. I mean, I know every area has it different. But I mean, I just have to say personally, and as a matter of fact, series is true story. When I asked some of the guys to help me when they were done, there were two guys, and I handed them each $20, and they wouldn't take it.
They're proud to service their community. These
Yeah,
are the
wouldn't
human
wouldn't
beings that
wouldn't take.
we
They're like,
represent.
no, no, no. You've been through enough. You need, you need it. One guy was like, I hear insurance isn't paying. I mean, they just, and I do, like, we wave, and they, or I'll be like, wait a minute, running out of my nightgown, one more bag, and no, I just, I can't say enough about them. They're really good. So let's talk about some of those corporations that you touched upon, and corporations like Republic Services. When you look at these
Right.
corporations, public services, and so many others, they have record profits. They profited during the pandemic, even more so. But workers on the front lines, what did they face? Rising cost of living, rising injuries, and then rising staff shortages. When you're making more money, why would you kick somebody when they're down and cut staff? Because that puts more work on other people, and obviously puts those people who are cut out of work. It hurts them, it hurts their family, and it hurts entire communities.
Absolutely. These workers, I mean, they're classified as heroes when it comes down to fires, when it comes down to floods, for instance, in Texas and North Carolina. They're called upon to come in and rescue. But the community people will see them as heroes, but they just don't wear capes. They take off afterwards. When they get home, they want to bargain a fair deal, bargain their fair share. They, like you said, they're exposed to all of this stuff. And it is pretty unfortunate that these corporations won't give them the fair shake that they deserve. It's, for instance, what is happening in Massachusetts, in the Boston area, what is happening in Illinois, Georgia, Stockton, California, in state of Washington. This is all the bad player who is Republic Services. They are just not giving the fair share that these workers want, and they're not asking for the whole pie. They're asking for a fair share of retirement health care, fair language, standard or community standards. It's pretty incredible when you got a family owned business who's paying more to paying more in wages, paying more in pension benefits, or paying more in union health care. And you got a big corporation who's Republic, which is the second largest waste company in the United States. They don't want to pay their fair share. They want to be above. They don't want to compete, but when it comes down to service, and these workers had enough. They're tired of it. They're tired of it. They sacrifice day in day out for the community. These are heroes. These are people who keep your household, your streets clean. And look at Leslie, they even pick up your backyard. I mean, that's above and beyond. And corporations tend to forget that, like you said, and just worry about the bottom line. And bottom line being it's all profits to their shareholders is what they want.
You mentioned Texas, and honestly, I'm sorry to go back to my backyard. A lot of people find this hard to believe, but the fire burnt my pool. And I asked a firefighter, how the heck with water can it, and he said, It's not fire and water, it's volume. If you have more fire than water, the fire wins. So we
Right.
also had 100-mile-per-hour winds. And I bring this up because of what you just said and when you said with Texas. And when I saw, when you just said that, it came into my mind. I had these two chairs that
Hmm.
were like white wicker, right? And they were burnt. And then the wind put them into the pool. And then the fire burned the pool. And then all this crap's in the pool, literally. And when they emptied the pool to fix the pool, those chairs were black and green. They were so disgusting. And those guys took them for me. And those were health hazards. I mean, the guys didn't want to touch them that were fixing the pool, but they needed them out. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I mean, I don't know what that green stuff was, but let's talk about these communities. These sanitation workers' jobs have gotten harder. And I'm going to have you answer this after the break.
Oh,
In many communities, the job has gotten harder. The routes are longer, the trucks are older, turnover is higher, but the corporate executives continue to make more money and even pad their salaries. What's up with that? We'll be back with you. We'll be back with our guest, Victor Mineros, proud Secretary-Treasurer of Teamsters Local 396 and Western Region International Vice President and Director of the Teamsters Solid Waste and Recycling Division. Back with him, back with you right after this. Don't go away. We are back. We
great.
is me, Leslie Marshall. Hi there. Happy Tuesday. And Victor Mineros. Mr. Mineros is proud Secretary Treasurer of Teamsters Local 396, Western Region International Vice President and Director of the Teamsters Solid Waste and Recycling Division. Check out everything Teamsters does. They do so much and cover so many areas of our working class and so many different industries as well. Visit teamster.org for more information. Be sure to follow them as well on X and on Instagram. Their handle there is at Teamsters, and please like them on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Teamsters. Thank you, Mr. Mineros, for holding, and welcome back. I want to ask you about how the job is more difficult with sanitation workers. Why are the routes longer? Why are the trucks older? Why is turnover higher, especially when corporate executives have a larger profit margin, much of which is going into their own pockets?
It's pretty simple. It's called greed. That's what it is. The turnover. Some guys just can't take the 14-hour days, the 12-hour days, and it's constant 6 days a week. And the profit that they're gaining is getting more and more incredible. Some of this, Leslie, and for not in all instances, but if you think about it, you pay for a trash service or whatever trash service you get, you pay for that. They come by, pick it up, and then in some instances, they take that trash, recycle it, which is a good thing. We want them to recycle stuff and reuse stuff. They recycle that trash that you paid to get picked up and sell it at a profit, sell it to overseas to
Mm.
come back as toys. So they're making hand over fist in money. They're charging you to come pick it up off of your curbside, and they're in return selling it back to for raw material. Which is, I mean, look, we're going to promote good recycling jobs, and we want them to be Teamster jobs. But these corporations just can't leave these people, call them heroes when they're cleaning up disasters like fires or floods. And when it comes to the table to get their fair shake, they're telling them, no, you're not worth it. You don't deserve it. You can't be a hero and wear a cape when you need it, and when you're asked for your fair share, to be kicked to the curb.
You know,
It's just not right.
a very, true thing. And, we both live in, LA, right? At least where I live, I didn't have a choice of who was picking up my trash, although the people that do mine are great and the people that did mine before are great. LA County, changed who they used for LA. And all
Mhm.
of a sudden I have different trucks, different colors coming up. And I was talking to one of the guys when he first came, and because I was running out of my nightgown with the extra bag. And how come it's changed? I got a letter. What does this mean? I've never had that before. I had the same company for years, right? So he said, LA County. And I said, oh, what does that mean for you? And then he said, oh, a lot more work. Because what happened is, it's not that the people who picked up from me before have gained customers. They've lost customers. So that same company now just has more customers, but they don't have more employees, more trucks. Like you said, it's more wear and tear on both the truck, but the employee as well. You
Right.
mentioned a few minutes ago Georgia, Massachusetts, Illinois, here in California. And the workers, at least for Republic Services, they're standing up and saying enough is enough. Can you tell us how they are doing that? We know the why, but how they're doing that now?
So they are uh, striking in Massachusetts, Georgia, here in California. They're withholding their labor, which is one of the most powerful things workers have in trying to gain more. So they are striking here in Georgia and Boston, but they're also extending lines to different parts of California, the West Coast, different parts in area. We are particularly for us in the Teamsters Union, we've negotiated language where it allows them. So if they extend to different areas, for instance, in Seattle, if they extend to Seattle, there's language that protects those workers not to cross a picket line and protect or help out in solidarity. So they're sacrificing their their work for the day or for days on end to in support for somebody across the country. This is what some of the stuff that Boston is fighting for, Local 25 is fighting for. This is something our General President Sean O'Brien is very particular in joining forces and to fight. This is the only way. These corporations will try to divide us and try to leave us hanging in smaller areas where the density isn't as big as with union carriers. So that's why they're out. They're coming out, and Republic keeps saying we want to negotiate, and then that is just simply not true. The negotiations isn't no, that is not negotiations. They want to treat us like they're the parents and we're kids, and a simple no is and we should understand. That's not today's negotiations. Negotiate a contract, give them their fair share. We want you to be successful, but until you help us become successful as members, this is what we're going to be doing. These lines are going to extend. These lines, members are going to withhold their labor because it's one their right, and this is what is going to get Republic and this corporate greedy corporation to the table and get us our fair share.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the term negotiate in good faith is really what a negotiation should be, in good faith. And what these workers are asking for is, they're not asking for anything that a worker doesn't deserve, in my opinion, with a company, especially a company that's profitable. Look, how many times, I've had, including my executive producer Mark, who you just met, whether it was during COVID or whatever, there have been hard times that every company, large and small, has hit it, right? And whether it was my husband's company when he was part of a small company, a small practice, or mine, I've had employees say to me, I can take a pay cut for a month, or you don't have to pay me for 2 weeks. Companies need to treat their employees better, not just better, because what these workers are fighting for is basic stuff here: dignity, safe working conditions. Nobody nobody should even have to ask for safe working conditions. That's something a corporation should provide. Fair wages, again. If you're working more, and affordable health care, for crying out loud, especially with, and I don't want to get political, but where the government is going, only 54% of companies provide health care, and with people pulling access to either Affordable Care Act or to Medicaid, you need more companies providing health care. And then, like we just talked about, respect at the bargaining table. Um, Something corporations do, and this corporation is doing it as well, is they lash out against these workers who are asking for what I feel is what every worker should get in any industry, right? Um, they faced retaliation, bad faith bargaining, and union busting tactics. And all through this, these workers are showing, they are strong and they are united. They have that solidarity. Talk to
Absolutely.
us about some of the retaliation, the bad faith bargaining, the union busting
So
tactics.
some of the tactics they use, they'll come in and bring in union busters, follow them before the expired agreement, just scare them, tell them they're going to lose their livelihood. They're there to replace them. I'm learning your job so I could take it from you. You just see it constant, day in and day out. The pressure. Some companies even go as far as reaching out to the families to even tell them, reaching out to the wives or the husband. Hey, your husband's gonna or your husband's gonna lose his job, and they do the most ridiculous scare tactics. It's just to scare them, to put them into fear. I mean, like even
It's
just
it's
healthcare
cruel.
alone.
It's
Health.
cruel. One could argue it's inhumane. Mr.
Mhm.
Mineros, we are out of time. I thought we were together for an hour. I guess we're good together for half of that, but I'd love to have you back to talk more about this, because there's a lot more information people need to know about with this. And I know you're busy, but I hope you could take the time. Mr. Victor Mineros, proud Secretary-Treasurer of Teamsters Local 396 Western Region International Vice President and Director of the Teamsters Solid Waste and Recycling Division. Go to Teamster.org for more information. Like them on Facebook at facebook.com/Teamsters. And be sure to follow them on X and Instagram, their handle @Teamsters. I'm Leslie Marshall. More to come right after this.